I have. There you go.
I think I've known you well enough to know that you know what the first question is going to be, and it'll be about Danny Drinkwater.
Possibly.
What's your take on it as the manager of this player? Clearly in a situation which isn't ideal.
Well, I think firstly find out the facts, which I did do. I think secondly the reality of forgetting about footballer, things happen in lives. They are people, some people, sometimes that's misrepresented. They are actually human beings. They do have private lives, which sometimes are not private, obviously. And people do get in scrapes, it's one of them things. And he's certainly old enough and wise enough to know you do whatever you can to not get in scrapes, but sometimes it happens. And I think the other key thing, I think we've been big over our time here. You can't just talk about development when it's good news. You also have to work with players if things are not quite as good. And this is an incident where we think, to use a loose term, no, it's more of a chat than a development period. He's a 29-year-old player. He knows where he's about. But the point is, I try and talk to the players, and more so if things are not quite as right as what they should be. So it's been more of that situation, really. Have a chat with him and say, look, what happened, first of all, of course, what the situation that led to it. Okay, let's move away from that. Now where do we go from here? So I think that's where we're at.
I think what makes it more problematic is clearly the injury sustained in the incident, though.
Yeah, well, that bit's not ideal, obviously. But I'm sure he didn't hope that happened. It was again, it's part and parcel of the incident. It's not too serious, but it's still going to be, well, it's certainly a couple of weeks. And then obviously getting back on the grass and then getting another game in to catch up somewhat. So, yeah, that's the way it is.
You're right, we can be very sanctimonious about these things, but I mean, in terms of having a chat with the player, isn't there now a long-term relationship that takes you to January, and he has a kind of... I don't think we were overthinking that when he came in. He's a player that I'd worked with before at Watford quite a number of years ago. I think I know a little bit about what he's about. It's had a lot happened since then, of course, with a lot of good successes in his career. So I think we want to get him back to that, really. This is just a bump in the situation. We want to make sure he gets back to being fully fit, playing well, the eye of the tiger that it takes to be a top player, which he's shown he can be a top player. There's no two ways about that. And when we take someone in, regardless of being on loan, he becomes part of us. And anyone who joins us becomes part of us, So we've got to work with a player in the correct manner, which we do. And like I say, it's easy to spend time with players when it's all going well and everything's rosy. But sometimes it's more satisfying actually sometimes to work with players when things are not quite right. And so we'll certainly continue working with him, help with his fitness, of course, help him get realigned to where he was and where he wants to be. And the only way he can do that is by getting himself right here, first of all, and getting in the team, on the pitch, that is. Chelsea said they weren't taking any action against him. But can I ask if the club has taken any action against him?
No, just talk to him. The rest of it's private.
And in terms of getting that player back, if you get that player back that won the Premier League with Leicester City, you've got a player that's worth taking that chance on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing as well, what some people forget, is it's about him as well. He wants to be back there playing well. Obviously, he's had a tough couple of years football-wise and not playing much, and he wants the hunger and desire to flood back into him, and you have to earn that. It's not a given. You have to earn the right to bring back them feel-good factors, and deliver the performances, and that's what we want from him. He was doing, by the way, until this situation or this incident, he was doing. He was getting on with it. He was working hard in his training. I'm sure he will do as soon as he's fit again.
And it is 4 weeks about right in terms of the space between now and when he...
No. I said it'd be a couple of weeks till we get him back on the grass. There's no actual literal time situation, but he's not on the grass with us yet. He's still with the physios at the moment.
It gave you something you could do without during the international break, but in terms of the international break, did that come at the right or the wrong time, bearing in mind?
Yeah, I think we've debated this many times, with the breaks. Yeah, I mean, there's no. I think it depends on your injury situation in general at a club. It depends on how the form is going, etc. This first one it's quite quick. So our players only had a couple of days off anyway, 3 days actually, and they worked very hard, leading into that 3 days. So I think you can argue the toss of which is right. Is it good to have a break? Is it not? This early one, I don't think it's particularly important either way. The one in November usually comes at a time when you're going into the Christmas period, so that's probably helpful. But this one, I don't overthink this one. In this case, actually, we've had less go away, whether it be through injury or not going away with their countries, obviously, which has been kind of beneficial in a way. Just going on to a few details in that. Johan, he's got a niggly calf. He might make it. We've got to make a judgment call on that one. Nothing too serious, but he's had a treatment and trying to get back out on the grass and done some work on the grass. But whether he'll be ready or not, we'll make a decision on. Dwight's in good shape. He's, thanks to I think the real good lines of communication from England with Dwight, tight hamstring and back, and rather than sit him on a plane for hours, they made a call and said, no, we're not going to do that. So he came back, which helped, of course, enormously and settle him down. So he's managed to get back on the grass this week. Barnsley had a tight groin, but should be fine for a couple of days last week. I think that's about right. So the lads who have gone away with the internationals, they've come back and they're all good.
And clearly no more questions about Stephen Defoe because he's returned to Belgium. I mean, obviously it was the right thing for both parties.
Yeah, I think there was a number of things that, his personal situation, his injury situation, the club wanted to do the business side of it, to try and make sense of that. I think there was a number of things, and it's a shame because it started with, to be fair to the lad, he was playing so well when he got the injury initially, the main injury, if you like, on his knee, and he played on. He finished a game with a good old chunk of bone and sort of cartilage in his knee, that had come off the bone more or less. And then he was playing on and he was actually all right. And then he was like, I feel something. And then we don't know what happened after that. He had to have an operation and then recovery period. And unfortunately, on the back of that, he had a problem with his calves. And it's been a real tough run for him, because he's a great lad. We obviously wish him well. It's just a shame he's had sort of the windows that he had with Burnley Football Club, because I believe if he was fit all the time, he'd have turned into a very, very good Premier League player, consistent performer in the Premier League, without doubt, because he's a very highly talented player, I think.
I think the focus since the Liverpool game was on a couple of mistakes in that and the Sunderland game, and it's almost a backhanded compliment because people are saying that's not what they expect from the Burnley side that you manage.
Well, I think the couple of mistakes against Liverpool for sure. And I don't think you can do that against them sides. They do tend to punish you, which they did. Generally, the performances have been good. I've been quite pleased. I was not displeased with that performance, by the way. It's just that you are playing the top end, and the biggest gripe of mine with that one, we turn the ball over so many times. If you give them that many times to counter you, they probably are going to achieve something at some point. But no, I've been pleased with the form. The points return has been okay. I think we've been a little bit unlucky with a last minute, what in my opinion, a debatable decision and our penalty. But other than that, I think the performances have been decent. So we've got to continue building on that. Of course, there's no a decent start overall, but it's got to continue. We can't just sit on that and go, oh well, it's a long season. So we've got to make sure we build on that.
But on the outside, this is the start of the clump of games where you can get some points.
Well, in theory, all games you can, but it's just that statistically some are harder than others. It's our third away game in the first five, but a different manager, a different feel going down to Brighton. We had a great result there last time out, and we've had a few good results there and a few very important results there actually in one of our promotion seasons as well. So we look forward to the game, we look forward to going there, but there's no easy games in the Premier League. I say it all the time and I say it with good reason.
We saw Chris Wood, had a chat with him, and I clearly flew through pre-season with 9 goals. Hasn't hit the back of the net as yet, but seems relaxed in the sense that goals are coming elsewhere and they will come. And they kind of said that's what you've been saying.
I've been enjoying his performances in general. I've been enjoying certainly his performances to try and score a goal, because there's no lack of will or effort in doing so. I've enjoyed the relationship with Barnsley. J-Rod's a bit unlucky because he's had a good pre-season with us and he's beginning to find better links with the players here, the more he knows them. Vids is always on the rails sort of thing. He's there waiting, can he get a chance? It's a good group that, I'm enjoying the work they're putting in. So we'll see if that takes us. I do, we have changed quite more than people think, particularly last year and the year before, playing with a third midfield player, but I do historically like playing with 2 strikers, and particularly if we've got 2 strikers playing well.
And final couple of points for me. You were off to Harlequins earlier in the week to see a doppelganger. Were you impressed with the similarity, or?
I wasn't. I thought it was stretched a tad.
I've heard sound-alikes who do you very well, but
maybe. But no, to be fair, they did let me know. But I'm pleased they put that out there, because it's almost like it looks like a setup, but it wasn't. And they let me know that was the case. To be fair, the lad, he'd done a few things for charity for Movember and that sort of thing, and it kind of built on the back of that. There's a few pictures on his Twitter and stuff of him wearing kind of a suit that's very impressive in its kind of not impressive way, and then a bit of fun, but there was some serious sides behind it. It was really I was down at Saracens last year. I really enjoyed that. Good people, and Andy Sanger, who works at Harlequins, he'd been up here through a mutual contact, and he invited me down. And because it was international break, I went down on the Monday. Had a good day there. Just looking at the culture, environment, speaking about the coach. I had about 3 hours with their coaching team and their manager or head coach, and enjoyed it. Just crossing over some of the thoughts on football, some of the thoughts on rugby. Of course, not the game. My knowledge of most other sports is really poor, particularly rugby, but I like to think I can pick up on environments and, some of the challenges of what they have, and then cross them over with some of the challenges we have in football.
Top stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Just going back to Brighton, you said going down there with like a fresh feel, a different sort of club this season. What have you made of the start that Graham Potter's made down there?
I think he'd be reasonably happy. It's not easy taking over from a very good manager like Chris. I think, and you've got to go in, and he's tried to change it, changing the tactical format, more of a 3-4-3. They may change that again, but that's been roughly what they've been looking at. Trying to pass through the thirds, although they do play long diags as well to mix the play. I think it'll be interesting for him. I spoke to him very briefly. We went to the Premier League meeting in the summer and just had 5 minutes, and kind of shook hands with him, and I know he's gone through a different route, but he's found himself at the top of the game in the Premier League, and quite quickly, relatively quickly, really. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes over a season. But I think, from the outside looking in, I think he'd be really reasonably pleased with the start. It's not an easy situation when you're playing in the Premier League, any case, and especially when you're new in. Do
you think they're more attacking now? Did they seem a more offensive side to you?
I think it's too early to say. I think everyone starts the season with good intentions, whatever their model is of strategy for the team and their tactical strategy. I think over the season is when it really shows itself. So I think it's a little bit early to decide on who's doing what.
And just talking about the partnership between Ashley and Chris as well, we were talking to Chris about it before. It started when they were back at Brighton. I mean, to have that history that the two have had over all this course of time, does that help when you're trying to build a partnership like they've built from a manager's perspective, to know that they know each other inside out almost?
Well, I didn't get them together for that reason. It's a moment in time when they did play together, but I certainly didn't sign them both. There's a big gap between signing them. No, I think two good players. I think, as I've just suggested, I think we've got a clutch of centre forwards, and I like them all for different reasons. And at the minute, them two have been playing. It doesn't mean they'll play the next one. It doesn't mean they'll play the next games after that. But I think the second half of last season, they laid down a real strong marker, the two of them. And I think they've both started this season well in different ways. We'll see what the next team selection brings.
They're very different characters as well, aren't they, to complement each other?
No one's like Barnsley.
That's true.
Let me make that clear. No one's like Barnsley. It's a positive.
But Chris couldn't be much more different if he tried, really, could he?
No, he's a good lad as well. He's different. He's a thinker. He's deep in thought about his game and about what he can offer, and sometimes too much. Sometimes I think he could take a little bit of that off, because sometimes you can be too intense. Sometimes you've got to defocus to refocus. Just take the thinking away and just play. Just play naturally, play as you do. And I think Barnsley does well to limit his thinking. I always prefer him when he does limit his thinking. It keeps me. I'm always in safe situation with him when he limits his thinking. I like that. It's good.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean, can I just, without going into
Hi.
detail, hello. I haven't seen you since the airport, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
I always miss my flight.
There's a missed story there. It's not how he's imagining. You know what I mean?
When you just elaborate not so much on Danny, but when you say you enjoy working with players when it's not quite right, what kind of sense of satisfaction and reward does that give you?
Well, I think the thing is, because I've been in a long time, and when I went into it, I always believed that part of my thinking was offer something to the players that will benefit them. And you can't just, only in my opinion, I don't think you can just limit that to on the pitch. There's got to be more to it than that. And I've always believed if you affect the person, you'll affect their performance. So, therefore, I don't think it's fair to then make that in your mind as a big part of what you want to do, and then when someone's having a tough time, just go, oh, well, no, I don't want to do that anymore, because it's all a bit tough and it's a bit awkward. So I try and work with the players regardless. Good times, not so good times. It's work with them, give them my support, both on and off the pitch. And that's what I started out to do when I was working in the youth system, and that's what I've continued to do as a first-team manager, or attempt to do, that's for sure.
It's just that we were discussing before it started, that very few of your players ever get into trouble or ever make the headlines for those kind of reasons that Danny got involved.
Yeah, but I think in 7 years, I agree, there's been limited situations, but I think, or nearly 7 years, but that's not on Danny. I think, circumstantially, just the stats and the facts suggest that one of your players is going to have a scrape of some kind. And I think it's getting more difficult. Life's getting more difficult for everyone, not just for footballers. Every incident, everyone's got a phone, everyone's got an angle, everyone's got an opinion. Some of that can be misleading. I'm not suggesting in this case it was, by the way. I'm just saying that some people snap things, photo things, and they send it out in the world as this story, when actually the story is nothing of the sort. Some people go to the Reading Festival the night before a game and get accused of why they're doing it at the Reading Festival, and they're actually with their 16-year-old, their 14-year-old, backstage talking to the manager of the Reading Festival, and the like. So, things can get contorted quickly, and I feel for the players a little bit on that score. They also have a responsibility. We all know that. But I just think there's a balance to it, and I try not to get, overthink it without getting an in-depth view of it, firstly, from the person who's involved, and then we take it from there.
I guess, you've of all people do a lot of sort of research into the character and make sure the right characters are in for the group, which no doubt you'll have done with Danny. Have you been sort of pleased with his response to the incident and how he's...
Well, firstly, it's an interesting one, because that comes up a lot, and I do remind people, because it's always that, and then they weren't saying that when I brought Joey in, by the way. So there's always a twist in the tail. Every manager, ideally, would like good characters. Trust me, every manager. Every manager wants players with a great attitude, who are flawless, and they all come in and they're all bright and breezy, and they all just play football and go home and eat chicken and pasta and drink loads of water. Or not pasta anymore, you're not allowed to eat carbs anymore, are you? Of course, sorry, silly me. Vegetables and chicken and drink water, yeah. It's just not the case, they're human beings. So I've got flaws, they've got flaws. We have to work with the good stuff and the not so good stuff to iron out as many details as we can and give them an environment and a culture that I think is appropriate to allow them the best chance of doing well. And I think we just work on that basis. We don't overthink the rest of it. Going back to the characters, like any other manager, we try and get the right characters, and if they're not quite where we want them, we try and offer them the support that will make them be the best characters they can be, for their needs first of all, and for their good, if you like. And eventually, if that doesn't work out, we shake hands and they move somewhere different. Not always for that reason, but sometimes. But I just think everyone would like great characters and that, but it's not that easy, and we try and rub off on everyone here in the right way, but including myself. I try and live the best life I can and try and be well-mannered and respectful of people the best I can, and I don't think I've got everything right either, so I can't expect all of my players and all of my staff to have everything right.
And you were never going to go with a sort of overreaction of what the hell's happened here, this is an absolute disgrace, get out of our club.
You can do, and I'm not there to question people who do. I just take things as I find them in my own manner and my own professional standards to find out, first of all, from the person what went on, of course, and then find out their view of it, because I think that's important. Everyone will certainly have more than enough views from the outside, so it's important to find out their view of it. Just on
the injuries, you mentioned Johan's a question. Dwight fully expecting to be...
Yeah, he's trained for a number of days now, the last since Tuesday, so you'd expect him to come through it, which obviously he did today, so therefore I'm expecting him to be right tomorrow, ready to go.
Brady in the thinking?
Yeah, back in the pack, that's for sure. Got another 90 in the other day, which we felt was important because he'd missed such a big chunk of the pre-season window. Very unfortunate, Robbie, bless him, but he'll come back through it. We know he's a good player and he's a great lad around the place, so it's good to have him back around the group as well.
Obviously, international break. Bailey Peacock Farrell caught the eye for...
Easy for you to say, you are correct.
For Northern Ireland.
Just call him Bailey, that's what we do. Bales, in fact. That does it, yeah.
Caught the eye on Monday night. I don't know if you saw the game or...
I didn't know he played very well. Billy went out to see him live because I think that's important. Bill's getting used to him and getting to know him better. No, I thought he played well. I spoke to him this morning briefly, made some big saves. We like his character, we like what he's about so far, and he continues to work hard with the goalkeepers.
Is he genuinely knocking on the door as a potential involvement in a match?
He's genuinely developing, and he's genuinely improving, we believe.
And last one from me, there's been John Walters and Roy Keane have had a Alan Shearer, Michael Owen style argument over the past few days and weeks. Obviously, John well from his time at Burnley here. I don't know if you followed that incident in any way, shape, or form. It's not the
highlight of my international break to follow any such things, but all I would say, two strong characters, without doubt. They're both man enough to talk their own minds. I don't need to worry about me. I'm sure of that. But no, they're two strong characters, that's for sure.
Last one, Eleanor?
Yeah, just back on Danny. I mean, do you feel that he's kind of got the right attitude to put this behind him and he can still...
We'll see. We'll see. It's as much down to him and his drive and his will and desire. But not about the incident. It's his drive and will and desire to get back to being a top footballer. I don't think it's anything to do with the incident. I think it would just be down to him to take on the challenge. And I said when he got here, there's no guarantees, none for any player, but certainly not here. He knows he's got to earn the right here to get in the team, and he'll have to do that.
But it's not kind of a black mark against him in terms of where he can
or I've gone way beyond stuff like that. I'm not too worried about things in the past. We try and look for the things that we can sort out for the future.
Did that break come at the right time or the wrong time? I know it's a question we ask about international breaks, but after a kind of defeat like that where you didn't see some Burnley behaviours you expect, sometimes you want to get back on the bike as soon as possible.
Look, I think always after a defeat you want to get back on straight away, but it's the nature of the game, isn't it? Start of season is always 4 games block, and that's how it works. We know I think we played well in the game, getting into minimal chances and had a few ourselves. It was just a few sloppy goals got let in, a bit unfortunate in some areas, and that's how it goes sometimes.
But that isn't the sort of part and parcel of kind of Burnley's DNA, is it? We don't kind of put our focus on mistakes. It doesn't happen very often.
Look, it doesn't, because that's what we pride ourselves on, being good. But when it does happen, it is what it is. It is a mistake, and everybody goes out there to do well. And it's just part and parcel. Sometimes it happens, and we just move on and keep going.
You talk about lots of forward. That was a tough look before. You got your victory and a couple of draws. Going into this next bit, it looks like you can pick up some points.
Look, it looks that way. I mean, always on paper, it's harder. But there are good sides that we're going to be facing in this next block of 4. But we know we've got a chance. But it's Premier League. It's tough everywhere.
And it really is, though, isn't it? I know everyone says that to us every week, but the battles become more intense. Has the whole thing become harder every season you've been here?
Every year it seems to get harder and harder. The teams get better, more well-equipped and things like that. So, yeah, it does get harder. But it's good. It's more of a challenge, and you get these chances to get the points, and hopefully you can pick them up.
Does that come down to teams working harder on the training ground? We know how, the work ethic here, or does it come down to data? Does it come down to people knowing what you're going to do in the game? Or a mix of all those?
I think it's a mix of all of them, because I think you have to have a percentage of everything to come together to make a collective. And as you say, every area in the football club is important. And that's why we have all the sports science and all the fitness coaches and the hard work on the training pitch all coming together, because it makes everybody better.
How do you reflect on your season so far? Because you were kind of roaring through pre-season, 9 goals, and come back in as yet.
Look, that's the key. It's as yet. I know they'll come, and that's what I'm happy with. We're playing well as a team. We're playing well as a front pair. Barnsley scored some fantastic goals, which is great for us as a team. So I know it will come, and it's the whole cliche, once one comes, they all come. Like buses, isn't it? So we'll just go with that.
And I imagine the same thing, isn't it? Because you're in the positions. It's not as if you're not there to score, is it?
No, exactly. And they will drop to me. It's just at the moment they're dropping to Barnsley, and he's putting them away fantastically. So it's brilliant for us as a team. And as long as we continue to work hard like we have been over these last 4 games, we'll continue to great chance, and the goals will come for everybody.
What are your memories of Brighton when you were there on loan? Because it was a long time ago. I think you were just 20 years old.
Yeah, it was good 7-8 years ago. Yeah, it was the last season of Wooddean. It was good. I really enjoyed myself down there. It's a great city, great town. Loved it down there, and we won the championship down there in League One, so it was fantastic. So I always enjoy going back to there.
And in terms of progress the club's made, if you can compare the Wooddean to the Amex now?
It's fantastic. I mean, the club's gone from strength to strength over the years, and I mean, they're a formidable side in the Premier League now. Got a stadium and training ground to boast it as well. So they've come on lows.
That was with Gus Poyet, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, with Gus, and he was a great manager. Really enjoyed working under him.
In terms of the last couple of points, I've got to ask you about the Rugby Union World Cup. You don't go in there as world number 1, the All Blacks, but I guess you're still the team to fear, aren't you?
I think everybody still think we're the team to fear, and rightly so. We're a good side, and but that's the case. Everybody's now up their games. I mean, Ireland, Wales, England are looking fantastic. The Aussies are still there, and of course you can't rule out the South Africans. So it's going to be a tough campaign, definitely.
Does the time zone thing make a difference? You do loads of kind of transit to that side of the world. I mean, Japan, I know, is still 3 hours different to, I think, New Zealand.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not 8 or 9 like it is for England. Does that make a difference to play?
I'm sure it will. I'm sure that's why England and the islands from over here would have got over there earlier than probably the Kiwis. We could just go up whenever we need to, because we're only playing 3 hours earlier than what they normally are, so it's not too bad for the boys. But that's how it goes, isn't it? It's the World Cup that changes around every time, so we just keep going.
And they've won it 3 times. You think it'll be a 4th time this time?
I think they've got a very good chance. I'm hoping so, but who knows? I mean, there's some good sides out there now.
Thanks for doing that. Cheers.
No problem.
Sorry, that's all right. You keep it there and just handle it my way.
Chris, just going back to what you were saying before about not scoring so far this season, as a striker, I'm sure you've been through spells where you score every week and spells where you don't score so much. Did you change your approach? Do you change anything, or do you just keep the same thing and keep that consistency? Keeping
that consistency is the main thing, because it will come and will drop to you. I mean, your record as a striker speaks for itself. Over the years, the goals do come, and you can score in this league, and all our strikers know that. It's just about when it does come, you have to be ready to put in the back of the net, and they will come. And once one comes, the rest come. So I'm not worried about it. We're playing good as a team, playing good as a strike partnership. So I can't be too down about it because I'm ready around the corner when it does come.
You're completely relaxed about it. I think we can all see that. Is that something that experience has brought you then? Do you react differently now than you would have done a few years ago?
Definitely, yeah. I think five years ago you would react differently. You get more worried about, why isn't it coming and things like that. But for me, as long as the team's creating chances, the goals will come, and that's the main thing. I can see the team's creating. Stats are telling us a lot more chances this season than previous seasons, so the ball will come. It's just dropping to Barnsley at one time. Now at the moment, he's finished them fantastically, so we can't argue with that.
And in terms of the relationship between you two, I understand that started at Brighton.
It did.
Yeah, and how did that work then as young lads? Did you get on well straight away, or did you have to work at it? How was it?
I don't know, weirdly it just clicked. I think with just some strikers you just click automatically. It worked well down there with him and Glenn Murray, all three of us together, so it worked really well. And then we brought it back up here, and I think you just know a striker ins and outs, and it just seems to work really well together. And it's nice to see the goals do work for us when we do play up top together. What do you think the Chris and Ashley at Brighton would have thought of these two up front for Burnley now? Jeepers, we would have thought a lot differently. But no, we thought we'd come be in the Premier League. It's fantastic. We were playing in League One at the time, so we had dreams of being where we are, and it's nice that we're both achieved and hopefully achieving a lot in seasons. Thank you, Chris.
Was he still quiet and demure like he is here?
Yeah, exactly the same.
Is it easy to be happy for your strike partner when they're the one that's kind of banging the goals and chances of moving forward for them?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it's a team game, and we need to be winning games to be happy. And you could score 3 goals and lose a game, and you're not going to be happy. I mean, it's one of those things. The goals will come, and as long as it comes for one of us or anybody in the team, it makes a happy team. So that's the best thing about it.
And Ashley seems to be getting a lot of attention and getting a bit of stick from his teammates.
Not really, but rightly so. He should be getting the attention off the pitch because he is playing fantastically and scoring goals, and he's up the top of the goal-scoring charts for a reason because he's doing fantastically well. And yes, he should deserve the plaudits. That's the best thing about it.
Have you heard the song? What do you think?
I have it. Yeah, it's not too bad. He doesn't like a few of the lines, but we get on with it. No problem.
Chris, we mentioned your time at Brighton then. That must have been it was quite a front three really with you, Ashley and Glenn Murray, wasn't it? It must have been a pleasure to sort of be in that.
It was. Three half decent strikers, if I say so myself. But no, it was good. I mean, 3 big strikers and physical strikers that seemed to work well together as a front three, which is surprising. But it did work well, and it was a good season. Yeah,
and I guess as alluded to there, to be now the 3 of you to be Premier League sort of regulars as well, and scoring double-figure goals in this level is something that you perhaps thought possible but not likely at that stage maybe.
Well, I was still young, Barnes still young, Glenn was still quite young at 25, so I mean a dream, a goal, something to achieve. That's what we were when we were younger, to do that. And thankfully we have, and now we're here. We just want to go from strength to strength again and achieve more.
And just going on to Burnley, this is a stat you may or may not be aware of, to do with the number of times you're caught offside, and I know that's because you're playing on the last striker every time. I guess that's just one of those things that's a byproduct of playing in your position, isn't it?
Well, it's a byproduct of how we play, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I know it's going to happen because that's how I play. I play running in behind. It's how I get told to play from the gaffer, and it's how he wants me to play. So that's not going to stop. It's my natural game because, look, if I get caught offside 3 times and then that one time they don't and I'm through on goal and we get a goal, I don't think anybody would too unhappy about that, would they?
No, I agree with you, yeah. And just lastly, it's the start of the Women's Super League last week, and I know that's something you've obviously got an interest in, given your background. Just what's your sort of view on the game, the women's game in general in this country, and the progress that's been made?
I think it's brilliant. The last 5 years, the game's gone from strength to strength, and it will continue to grow because the fan base is getting bigger. The money going into the league is growing, which is a great thing, and it's great to see the women that put the full-time application into it now getting the benefits, and we can see it as a squad. As in England international women's side, they're fantastic. They've gone from strength to strength under Phil, and it's just great to see them going bigger and bigger.
I guess you're seeing it a little bit here as well with Burnley women doing so well and starting the season so well as well.
Exactly, that's the fantastic thing about it. I mean, they've gone from strength to strength. They've done 2 back-to-back promotions, so it's fantastic to see, and they seem to be on the up and doing the right thing.
Nice one, thank you.
Cameras off, newspaper chaps. Presume there's no